The name of the brave little guy in the picture is Sergeant Stubby. This sturdy fellow is not just a dog, but a military man who has earned many regalia. His story began in 1917, when a homeless puppy wandering near the Yale campus was picked up by a man named J. Robert Conroy, who later became a private in the U.S. Army. A dog named Stubby, meaning Shorty, became the mascot of Conroy's squadron during World War I, part of the 102nd Infantry, 26th Yankee Division. The four-legged son of the regiment coped with his position perfectly, easily raising the morale of the soldiers. During drill training, the dog would show off next to his master, impressing the audience with a learned military salute. There was only one problem with the common favorite: the presence of dogs in the ranks of the army was not allowed. What is described here sounds like a real movie story, however, it is all the real story of little Stubby. When it was time for his master's military unit to leave for Europe to take part in combat operations, Stubby was secretly brought aboard a warship. The ship's commander was not at all pleased with the discovery of such smuggling, but he immediately changed his mind when he saw Stubby's patriotic, military salute. Since then, the dog has always accompanied the 102nd Battalion on the front lines. Initially, Stubby's role was only to provide moral support to the soldiers, but over time he turned out to be a real savior of many human lives. According to sources, this photo shows exactly the 102nd Battalion. It is difficult enough to confirm the truth of this statement, but on the bags with gas masks of each soldier the outlines of a dog resembling the silhouette of Stubby are distinguishable. This dog was the mascot of the unit. Early in his service, Stubby suffered a gas attack. After being released and helped to full health, the dog acquired an incredibly keen sense of gas odor. Subsequently, upon sensing the onset of an enemy attack using this type of weapon, the dog would immediately begin rushing around the trench, alerting the soldiers to the threat. Such assistance provided the soldiers with enough time to put on gas masks and attach Stubby's protective mask. This photo shows a different dog, but the look of the dog gives an idea of what Stubby looked like in his protective gear. As you can see, the image was cute. Clever Stubby could easily recognize the enemy by the language the man spoke. He was able to locate wounded soldiers and alert the medics. One day, the dog even caught a German spy prowling between the trenches of the Allied army. By apprehending the spy, Stubby made history as the first dog to be promoted to the rank of sergeant in a combat situation. He was even awarded the Order of the Iron Cross, which he wore on his doggy uniform along with the rest of his insignia. This photo shows the heroic dog receiving his award from the hands of General John Pershing. The newly minted sergeant looks very solid. Here we can see the esteemed sergeant in company with his subordinate, and at the same time, owner, Corporal J. Robert Conroy. Yes, this is not a disclaimer at all, Stubby has outgrown the man in rank. By the time the war was over, Stubby had fought in 17 different battles. At one point he was even severely wounded by a grenade fragment. For the gift of a unique sense of life sometimes requires a very high price. Not surprisingly, shortly after the war, Stubby became quite a well-known and popular person. After the armistice, while waiting in France to be sent home, the dog sergeant met President Woodrow Wilson. In 1920, Stubby personally attended the Republican Party's National Convention, and in 1921, he was even invited by U.S. President Warren Harding to visit the White House. A few years later, Sergeant Stubby again visited the presidential residence to meet with Calvin Coolidge, the next leader of the country. Pictured are Stubby and his owner, subordinate J. Robert Conroy. The dog returned to America a national hero. Here he is leading a military parade. Stubby was honored as a life member of the American Legion and the National Navy. When J. Robert Conroy began his studies at Georgetown University Law School, his dog was honored as the institution's mascot as well. Stubby died of old age in 1926. His services were recognized as so tremendous that the body of the dog was decided to immortalize. Stubby is currently part of the exhibit at the State Museum of American History. Thanks for watching, lads.